Hello, everybody, and welcome to another United Talks Live today. Welcome to my United Talks podcast. And today we're going to be basically talking about all things Manchester United, starting from the news, all the news you can use, and everything in between. Like, we're going to be breaking down a lot of things. We're going to be breaking down all the news that's happened in the last maybe 72 hours and all of that. We'll be talking about the Elliot Anderson mega price tag that has been going on for like the last 36 hours. We'll talk about Axel Tuanzebe's shocking legal claim, against Man United. We're talking about the next Toni Kroos that Manchester United wants to sign. We'll talk about Carragher's statement against Ferguson and Guardiola with regards to Ferguson versus Guardiola debate. We'll also talk about United's lone stars, shining bright, amongst other news that we're going to break down with the reports that Man United might not be going in for any midfielder in the January window. With regards to that, and we're also going to be talking about players who are on international break with regards to, those who eventually go for the AFCON in the month of December, next month. So basically we have players like Brand Bumo, Ahmad, Nuzai, Mazraoui. These three players will be going to the AFCON. So these are the things we're going to be talking about. We're going to be breaking down a couple of other things as well. So yeah, hit the notification bell, like, share, subscribe, join in the comments. Leave your thoughts and feelings in the comment section. For those of you who are coming in from Facebook, do not forget to leave your thoughts and feelings in the comment section. We will break everything down. Ask your questions as well. We'll answer them and analyze them together. So let me know your thoughts and feelings in the comment section as we build towards breaking down some of the things that we have so far today. Man United is about to make a £120 million gamble on another player. But yeah, like I said, excuse me. Like I said, welcome back, settle in, because tonight we're going to be, cracking open the story that goes right to the heart of Manchester United right now. A club caught between glorious, towering past and a frantic, uncertain future. You have a situation where certain reporters or outlets or content creators come out and say certain things, give like some wild hot takes and stuff. The headline today is also just not about result, it's about money, about legacy, about youth, and a staggering £1 million lawsuit that could rock the medical history of Man United as a club. We also have to talk about a player who embodies the desperate search for a missing piece in United's midfield puzzle. Basically, we will leave that for pretty much like later. But let's talk about the legal bombshell with Axel Tuanzebe. So Axel Tuanzebe versus Manchester United, basically that's a bombshell right now. It's a hard turn toward a deeply serious and troubling story involving a former academy favorite. He's one player that we kind of watched those days, and we loved him. We loved his leadership. He gave us something to think about. He gave us the vibes of this is the future center back for Man United. He came just when Chris Smalling and co were just kind of like aging, getting to like 25, 26. He was just a young guy, came in. Now he's 27, he's a defender who was at Man United for 17 years, and he was a symbol of a United youth system, which has filed now he has filed a high court lawsuit against Manchester United seeking damages that exceed around £1 million. The core of the claim is a shocking accusation of medical negligence. Tuanzebe, now 27, and playing for Burnley, alleges that United's medical team failed to promptly treat a spinal fracture that was detected in the early 2020s. At that time, he was probably 21. Right, 21. Yeah, in early 2020, he claimed that the delay allowed the injury to progress into chronic bilateral fractures, severely limiting his ability to play without restriction or discomfort. I have a question, because if you look at it, early 2020s, that was COVID year. So what could have happened? Everybody was doing physical distancing. There was no football at the time, I think. Maybe there was football in January, but if you say early 2020, it could be 2020 between January and April or May. But, he's saying stuff like, early 2020, that there was a delay that allowed the injury to progress to chronic bilateral fracture, severely limiting his ability to play without, restriction or discomfort. Yeah, I remember those periods he was kind of like injury prone a lot. But you think about it again from that perspective, and you start to ask yourself certain questions. Like, there was COVID. So 2020 is COVID year, as if we seem to forget. I don't think there was any time players had an opportunity to be treated, because everybody was either sick or trying to isolate or something. But it's a heartbreaking situation, in as much as we want to talk about it or have conversations about it. It's a heartbreaking situation, and he was highly rated, with incredible early promise, but he was limited to just 37 appearances for Manchester United, 37 senior appearances for Manchester United. And he was mostly injured for the most part. Even sent him on loan. He did really well, I think, at Burnley as well, or Aston Villa, when Aston Villa were in the championship, and he was injured for the most part. So I don't know. And then he also helped Aston Villa to come into the Premier League, I think in that time when Jack Grealish was balling. Then I think he also went to Sunderland, if I can remember correctly, and all of that. So okay, you know what? Instead of just trying to guess, let's have a quick look at Axel Tuanzebe's career, because let's not just guess. And by the way, Manchester United women are going to be playing Paris Saint-Germain at I think Old Trafford in the UEFA Women's Champions League. But we will not do a watch along for that, but we will give you an update when the time comes. It takes place in about an hour and 45 minutes. So let's do Axel Tuanzebe. Just kind of look at his career, right? So he plays at Burnley now. We'll look at where he's gone to in the past and all of that. Wow, he played against Togo. He played for Togo, or played against Togo, and played against Sudan. Where does he play? Let's see. He plays for DR Congo. Okay, so we'll look at his career. All leagues. Nope. We'll look at his career, and then we'll just I was right with the Aston Villa one. He went to Aston Villa twice, actually. So he came from the United Academy, played there for 17 years, played for England under 20, England under 21 in 2018, and then he played one game for the under 21s, played 3 games for the under 20, and now he has played for DR Congo 5 times already. Now, through his youth career for Man United, he played Man United's under 19s, Man United under 23s, and also 23 games for the under 23s, played 4 games for the under 19s. And then in the under 23s again, in 2020-2021 season, he played just 1 game. Now, if you look at his career all through, he played for Man United 2015 to 2018 as a young player, played 8 games, then went to Aston Villa on loan 2018 to from January 2018 to June 2018. So for 6 months, he played 5 games, and then obviously then he went back again on loan from August 2018 to June 2019, where he played 30 games, right? And then you go on to, he came back from loan again in 2019 to 2021 and played 29 games for United, and then went back again on loan 21 to 22 and played 11 games, and then went to Napoli on loan and played only 2 games from January 2022 to June 2022. came back from loan, went to Stoke City, played for from January 2023 to June 2023, that's 6 months. Then went to Ipswich Town on a free transfer, was released, and then went to Ipswich Town on a free transfer. Excuse me. And then from September 2023 to June 2025, played 44 games for Ipswich Town, and now he's gone on a free transfer again from June 2025 to Burnley, and he's played 7 games so far. Now, you look at this career trajectory, and so I thought he went to Sunderland, it's actually Stoke. Now, you look at this career trajectory and you see a player who has actually struggled, no doubt, right? He's actually struggled, we're not going to lie about that and stuff. But, you know, if you look at the 2020 that he's talking about, not to make an excuse for Man United or anything, but that was COVID year. And he was back from loan and he played 29 games that year. Played 29 games that year. I'm sure most of them were subs and stuff, but was back from loan from 2019 to 2021. So that was the period he was talking about, and in that time was COVID. So I don't know how we're going to justify all of that, but it is what it is. Players' welfare is very important as well, so maybe if the medical team could have done something, they should have, or they were supposed to. Now, like I said, it's a truly heartbreaking situation. Tuanzebe was highly rated, with incredible early promise, shown like he's going to be a leader in the dressing room and all of that. He was friends with Pogba, played with Zlatan at some point, but was limited to, like I said, 37 appearances in total. He's essentially claiming that the club's medical mismanagement impaired his performance and, crucially, his potential earnings throughout his career. Now, you look at that again and you think about a certain player like Owen Hargreaves at the point when he moved to Manchester City after being plagued with injuries at Man United, and then when he moved to Man City, he was now accusing Man United's medical team of medical mismanagement with his knee injuries and him taking so many injections, if you remember all that time during Owen Hargreaves' time of playing. Then you think about the fact that we have changed medical team in the last year and a half, I believe. We've changed our medical team, we've changed everything, we've revamped the medical department. So you can't come and say maybe those people were liable for, we're liable for all of these damages that he's suing for. Now, a legal battle like this between a club and a former academy product is incredibly rare, and it casts a very harsh light on behind the scenes workings of the elite football club, especially in elite football. For Tuanzebe, this is about getting just one quick second, okay. For Tuanzebe, it's about getting getting justice for what he believes was, kind of a preventable career derailment. For United, who have understandably declined to comment, obviously, on the ongoing legal proceedings, this is a massive corporate and reputational risk. Now, we have to now think about it from that perspective and understand where he is coming from, and not kind of make opinions and stuff. But it also forces us to ask the big questions. Are the medical pressures at the top level, compromising player care? How does basically an injury of this magnitude go untreated for a crucial period? Maybe could he have gotten a back surgery, or could he have done something? What could have been the treatment? The outcome of the lawsuit could also be far-reaching, could have far-reaching implications for how football clubs manage player injuries and their long-term health responsibilities. And it's a story of immense personal tragedy wrapped in a cold £1 million legal claim. Well, we will see how things pan out, and we will let you know as things unfold and all of that. But in truth, I feel sorry for Axel Tuanzebe. He was one player I wanted to thrive at United. I wanted him to lead at United. He'll be coming to the peak of his powers, barring all the injuries he was going through by now at Man United. And then certain players wouldn't have been signed if he was at the peak of his powers. But it is what it is. We're here. We have to also think about, the next steps and what happens after now. Apart from that, basically, we have to just keep you updated as things pan out. I'm not going to come and say, oh, this person did this or who is at fault or anything. Obviously, times have passed, 7 years, 6 years going by, and all of that. He was a young player at the time with a back injury and definitely feeling the brunt of it now. I remember when Marcus Rashford went the whole season with a back injury and then kind of went on and had a surgery and never remained the same since then and all of that. So maybe I wish he could have done that. Or maybe if possible, he could have easily taking his health into by the scruff of the neck, and then basically while taking his health by the scruff of the neck could have basically taking care of himself, in the sense that he would have just gone and done maybe a surgery or gone to have it looked at and stuff. But suing a club for £1 million, maybe the club might handle it, or they might battle it, or they might settle out of court. For me, I would say for an ex-player, ex-academy, for an academy graduate of his magnitude, probably just settle out of court so this thing can move on, because it's going to be a stain on Man United's new rebuild and all of that. But it is what it is. I wished, and guess what? All those times Tuanzebe was playing, I think I was always keeping track of him, like looking out for his looking out on his career and his progression and all of those things and everything in between. So it is what it is. We'll keep our eye out and keep you updated as things pan out and all of that. Next one we have on our list here is the report for two loanees. So it's kind of like a loan watch. A report for two loanees, Harry Amass and Enzo Kana-Biyik. Now, we're going to shift gears, to the pitch, look at the positive side of Man United's development system, because we talked about academy graduate. Now we're talking about those already either about to enter the academy or those in the academy on the brink of becoming first-team players, and that is in the persons of Harry Amass and Enzo Kana-Biyik. They are kind of like what you call the lone army. Two young talents, currently making massive strides, scoring their first senior goals, especially for Harry Amass and Enzo Kana-Biyik. Basically, Enzo Kana-Biyik has been plagued with injuries, was signed from Le Havre. I remember reporting it and talking about it on this channel and stuff. You can go check out the video if you just search that with United Talks podcast. You see I talked about him, give his player profile and everything, and talked about his history with his Cameroonian heritage and all of that. Now you're gonna want to see what I said about that, Enzo Kana-Biyik. But now he's basically he has scored his first goal for Lausanne Sport. He's on loan. Man United signed him and he sent him on loan to Lausanne Sport, Ineos owned Lausanne Sport. While Harry Amass also doing well for Sheffield Wednesday. We brought a report earlier that Man United paid Sheffield Wednesday some money to kind of help Harry Amass's loan move to become solid or something, I think. Now I can't remember the details of that conversation, of that news and stuff, but let's start with Harry Amass. The 18-year-old left back or left wing back, as the case may be, is on a season-long loan at Sheffield Wednesday, and despite the club's incredibly difficult circumstances at the foot of the championship table, he's shining. He's recently rifled in his first senior goal, a stunning long range strike against Southampton. We're gonna have to go check that out just to see. I know I saw this news, that's why I'm reporting it. Just a quick look at Harry Amass scoring his first goal for Southampton and all of that. So we're looking at it from he played that ball from like midfield and stuff. He drove Okay, so he defending the ball, because I'm actually watching it live on YouTube. He's really doing well. He looks like someone who's actually really doing well and all that. And he looks more matured. So he gets the ball, drives from the front of the box and blasts it. Yeah. He's giving you that Luke Shaw type of vibes. Right? I think he took a little bit of a, let's see, just a little bit of a deflection, maybe. But the bounce before the keeper kind of, shocked Southampton. Yeah, well, so Harry Amass doing well for Sheffield United, Sheffield Wednesday rather, rocking things as well. Yeah, so that's why the difficult circumstances that the club is facing at the moment. He is shining and basically rifled that goal from his left foot, bottom left of the goalkeeper, bottom right from his side. But the real praise comes from the manager, Henrik Pedersen, who spoke with genuine excitement, after Wednesday's recent clean sheet against West Brom. So I believe if Toby Collier wasn't injured, I played against Harry Amass, but it is what it is. So Pedersen said that the young man who arrived in August and the one who is now leaving the stadium are two different humans and two different players. So, like I said, just by the eye test, I could tell that he has a bit of maturity about him. He looks more mature, and I think I saw a report somewhere that he's going to come back. I might now be accepting him back and all that. I mean, the future is secure with players like Harry Amass. I've always liked him when I watched him play, like normally, not because he's I think he's 18 now. So I've always loved to watch him play. He's such a nice player to watch and all of that. But it is what it is. He gives you that Luke Shaw in the peak of his powers kind of age, and he's not yet 20, right? But he's putting up great performances like these. I mean, it's nice to see. So Pedersen also said that the young man is different. He's more mature. Amass's progression is described as amazing. Basically, he's not just competing; he's being dominant in some phases. Pedersen also notes that his massive development, not only as a player but as a person, citing his newfound physical strength, endurance, and his improved knowledge of himself. The kind of praise from a demanding championship manager is gold, is gold dust for Manchester United. I mean, music to the ears of Man United, music to Amorim's ears, and all of that. In fact, his performances have been so good that the clubs are already in talks to extend his loan beyond January, especially with United's recent defensive injuries. And it's a perfect example of a loan working exactly as intended, giving a young player crucial experience and accelerating their development in a fiercely competitive league as the Championship. Meanwhile, over in Switzerland, striker Enzo Kana-Biyik, a summer arrival from Le Havre, side-footed home his maiden senior goal for Lausanne Sport in a 2-2 draw. While his coach substituted him at halftime, the praise was glowing, especially calling him an exemplary young man who is improving and always focused on the team. Now you have to think about it from the perspective of what Jason Wilcox said very recently about the character and caliber of players that we want to be signing at the club. And if a manager is saying that he's an exemplary young man for an 18-year-old, then you should know what to expect in the kind of character that Man United is signing, character of players. Now, these stories of Amass and Kana-Biyik are crucial, and they prove that, amidst the turmoil and the massive transfer spending and the bedrock of United's youth academy is still, producing high quality, high potential players, all ready for the next step. And Harry Amass is one of them. Kana-Biyik, maybe one more year, either on loan or in the academy, and then he can now understand English football because English football is super fast. Now moving over to signings. There's always been a debate about Manchester United summer signings, Manchester United future signings in January. There's also been a debate about who Manchester United is going to go for, what Manchester United is going to do in the window, and all of that. So we're going to talk about this unprecedented young talent, basically. His name is Kennet Eichhorn. Now, I don't know if I've gotten his name well. Eichhorn, rather. I don't know if I've gotten the spelling of his name, the pronunciation of his name well, but Kennet Eichhorn, he's the next Kroos hype, basically next Kroos type kind of player that Man United could be interested in. From the present day headaches of the 120 million bids, which we'll talk about, we'll fast forward to the future. We'll talk about the 120 million bids, and we'll talk about like other midfielders Man United could be interested in, and we'll talk about one whom I think Man United should go for in January, considering where they are in the table right now. But United are embroiled in transfer battles for a player who is already being called the next Toni Kroos. Now we're talking about Kennet Eichhorn from Hertha BSC. So Hertha Berlin, Hertha BSC, 16-year-old defensive midfield phenomenon. Now, I don't know, because right now we have two 17-year-old midfielders, or 16-year-old, 17-year-old midfielders that we are now are going to potentially be on our books, especially in defensive midfield. And we also have our wonderful Sekou Kone, who could have gone on loan by now and be gaining valuable experience, but now he's back from injury. Then we have another 17-year-old in Orozco, right? We have Orozco, and then we also have Mohamed Dabo, who is playing in the Under-17s World Cup right now, and he's doing amazing stuff. He was on trial with Man United for a long time. So Mohamed Dabo, Orozco, and you now have Sekou Kone, and then we're talking about the next Toni Kroos in Kennet Eichhorn. Now, you have to think about it from the perspective of, it might be Econ, might be Icon. Each time I think about it, I just seem to kind of pronounce it a funny way. But it is what it is. The ferocity of the interest in this teenager is being called unprecedented. I mean, think about the biggest clubs in the world: Manchester United, Barcelona, Real Madrid, Paris Saint-Germain, and all the Bundesliga heavyweights like Bayern Munich and Dortmund. They all have scouts in the stands, eyes glued to this kid. Now, what makes him so special? First, he's a defensive midfielder who, at just 16, already stands at an imposing 6'1". Why we're going for tall players? Tall, imposing players. Okay. Now he has an incredible maturity that, belies his age. With a teammate, Fabian Ruiz gushing, I've rarely seen anyone so talented at that age. Eichhorn has already broken a record, becoming the youngest player in Germany's second tier this season, and he has amassed 7 league starts for BSC. So he's gaining first team experience in the German second division. I don't know how that translates into the Premier League for him, but we shall see, and we'll observe and let you know. But here is the kicker for these elite clubs. He has an incredibly affordable release clause, reportedly valued at 10 to 12 million euros. That's interesting. That's crazy. Guys, put in the comment section, have you ever seen this guy? I've seen a picture of him. I've never got the chance to watch him, so I can't really come and tell you, but you know how we do it in this channel. Once Man United has registered interest and we have gone for him, and there is there is news from reputable sources that the deal is about to be done, we'll definitely do a player profile, and we'll talk about him in the signing video and all of that, and what he brings to the club. And most definitely, when he comes, probably be going back on loan or playing in the under 18s or whatever. But we also have some sick under 18 players, under 18 players coming up in the academy. You're talking about Jim Thwaites, you're talking about the Fletcher brothers, you're talking about loads of other players that are coming up in the academy. So, but he's 10 to 12 million euros, which is we're talking about Kennet Eichhorn. His 10 to 12 million euros could be triggered next year. 12 million euros release clause, 10 to 12 million euros clause, and that, my friends, is a bargain for a player of this perceived potential. Will he come to Man United? who is to know. Now, yeah, there's a word of caution coming from unexpected source, and that is Felix Kroos, the brother of Toni Kroos. Felix, who enjoyed a long career of his own, believes all the hype and the comparisons are never helpful. Now, he strongly advises Icon to stay in his familiar surroundings at Hertha for the next few years, arguing that a move to a giant like Bayern or United could be premature for a player who needs time to develop, make mistakes, and gain experience without crushing the crushing pressure of a global super club. We're talking of Bayern Munich, of Man United and stuff. So you think about it from that perspective, and you tend to ask yourself certain questions and stuff, but it is what it is. If Man United gets him, I mean, I would suggest you get him and send him back to Hertha. He grows there. You send him on a 2-year loan, or you sign him and then sign him for when he turns 18. So in 2 years, you'll be playing at Hertha for 2 years and he will improve. You can watch him, you can observe him and all of that. Invite him to the club to come and mix with players and stuff. Now, Felix Kroos even put financial perspective on this Icon situation, saying that if Icon stays and develops, his current €6 million valuation could easily increase to €60 million. Yes, which would also be better for Hertha's books and better for the player's development trajectory, which is correct, which is right, and all of that. Now, this is a very fascinating dilemma, you know, in a world of football where young players are being brought in at 16 to ensure that they deliver and all of that, instead of bending them in, and then you have the situation where you have the hype and all of those things. Now, United are also chasing the immediate fix with Elliot Anderson, which we're going to talk about in the next one, but they also are fighting the world's elite for the future of for a future diamond in Icon. The affordable release clause makes him a must-purse target, but the wisdom of a former pro suggests that the best thing for his career might be to stay put. And the truth is, if I were him, I think that's what will happen. You know, it's a testament of United's global scouting network that they are at the table, but it's a battle that will truly test their ability to win over, the continent's most prized young talent. Which made me remember a certain player named Rooney. I remember that player from, I think we played against them when we played when we played, that player moved to a certain club. Rooney. Let's look. I'm just trying to search here. There's a Rooney that moved to a certain club, and I've not heard from him again. Where did he play? We played against them under Ten Hag in 2022, and he was 16 years old at the time. Turkish player, I think. Turkish Rooney. I think that's the guy. Yeah. Turkish player Rooney. Yeah, let's forget about it. Yeah, so I think why I brought it up, why I thought about it now is because of the fact that, the guy was touted as the next big thing, blah, blah, 16, starting in Champions League, playing against Man United. Man United were also interested, and then now we've not heard of him, we've not heard anything from him and all of that. So it is what it is. If we were to break it down further, maybe we'll just, let me check one more time. Just give me one hot second to check this guy out. Rooney Badji. Yeah, I found it. Yeah. Rooney Badji. He plays for Barcelona. Rooney Badji. 19 years old, Swedish international. And he plays as a right winger. No goals, no assists. Started 2 games, played 7 matches, 173 minutes played. Average rating of 6.88 according to FOTMob. And he's barely played any games. Barely. The last game he played was 21st of October against Olympiacos in a 6-1 win. He played 15 minutes. The one before that, Girona, 26 minutes. The one before that, he played against Kosovo for Sweden, 45 minutes, and he played really well in that one. Against Sevilla before that, so he's played 4 games, or 7 in total, 4 games, and in that one he played 21 minutes for Sevilla, against Sevilla, in that loss and all of that. So yeah, he kind of faded out. Even his stats compared to other attacking midfielders and wingers: shot attempts 95%, touches 93%, chances created 60%, error doors 8%, defensive contribution 6%, goals 22% compared to other forwards in the world. That's Rooney Badji. I remember him, young player, everybody was rooting for him and all of that. Went to Barcelona, I think, for like 15-20 million. He's 19 now. Yeah, he's yet to hit his prime, but yeah, it is what it is. So so far so good. Now we move on to, why I remember that is because, the advice of Felix Cruz to say, stay put till you improve, till you grow. And when you get to like 19-20, you would have clocked, you'd have gotten to a certain point in your career, and then you can now move on or move to other clubs and stuff. But it is what it is. And also the advice is basically to stay in your environment where you can actually thrive. Then we go to the next one, which is the big one, the Anderson enigma. We'll talk about Anderson, then we'll talk about another midfielder that I think Man United should go for in January, that the deal will go through, hopefully, depending on what the other team that will be interested in would want. But picture this: it's January, and this is the Anderson enigma. Now, the question I want to ask you guys, put in the chat if you can, or put in the comment section if you're watching this video afterwards, that is Anderson, is Elliot Anderson worth 120 million pounds? Let me know your thoughts and feelings in the comment section. But picture this: it's January, the transfer window creaks open. The winter chill has settled over Carrington, but the atmosphere is heating up because Manchester United is once again in the market for a defensive midfielder. Now, they've looked far and wide, but the concrete interest, the name that keeps popping up, is Elliot Anderson from Nottingham Forest. Now, Anderson is a talent, no doubt. At 22, he's showing exactly why United are keen. In his 11 Premier League appearances, he's been a monster of consistency, obviously. But like I said in my review, I was expecting him to perform pretty like out of the blues, like why are we spending 120 million for this player? And he didn't do well for me compared to other times I've watched him against Man United. So, but he's showing exactly why United are keen. In 11 Premier League appearances, he's been a monster of consistency. The stats don't lie. I mean, he's leading all central midfielders in touches, passes completed, and the crucial duels won. Now, the question, I mean, obviously from the eye test on what I saw at the time when I was watching him, he's always the guy who is demanding for the ball. So you can expect that he's going to have the most touches, and he's always the one demanding for the ball to try to transition play or move play or connect and all of that. So you can expect that he will have passes completed. Now, he's not a destroyer, but he's a progressive force, even chipping in with goals, with a goal and an assist for Forest's recent wins. He's an engine that United desperately needs to anchor their backline and launch attacks. I'm not opposed to that. I'm not opposed to him being, the next big thing for Man United and all of that. But yeah, it's Elliot Anderson. But here is a story that turns into a cold, hard negotiation that makes your eyes water. For example, Nottingham Forest knows that they have a talent on their hands, knows what they have. Nottingham Forest know what they have, and they are playing hardball with a capital H, hard ball. Now, the fee being demanded, according to Sky Sports DE, that's Florian Plettenberg as well, isn't just high, it is astronomical. Now, they are quoting a price tag in the region of around 100 to 120 million pounds. That's what they're quoting. Now, think about that for a moment. Up to £120 million for a 22-year-old midfielder who is only just starting to establish himself at the top level, was signed from Newcastle. Forest is also essentially saying, we don't want to sell, but if you want to pay a club record-breaking fee, we will talk. They are perfectly willing to resist any bid that comes in January. Now, this immediately puts United in a painful bind, basically. The club is already walking a tightrope with financial fair play regulations, as reported by Sky Sports. But this kind of money, the kind of money that buys you multiple established stars, is a huge risk, and is why the club has to keep alternatives like... Pains me to say, but that's another £120 million. Carlos Baleba close by, considering his form this season. That's why I said it pains me to say. Then you also have to think about Adam Wharton. What is Steve Parish of Crystal Palace willing to do? What deal is he willing to do with regards to Adam Wharton? Then you have to also talk about the interest. Obviously, the interest in Anderson itself is deeper. It tells a deeper story about the club's, management of players and crisis management. But when you listen to Jason Wilcox, it changes your mindset, because United midfield is not completely functioning in the way it should, especially looking at the players in the back end who are supposed to, like the fringe players who are supposed to be kind of like fitting like a glove. They're literally kind of not helping things as it should be. But we're trying to buy out of a defensive structural problem, and we have identified Anderson as a potential fix. But the question is, at what cost? That's the question you have to ask in this situation. And if Man United pay it, will the gamble pay off, or will it be another colossal transfer fee that fails to deliver the consistency and the stability that the club actually craves? We'll also be watching this one closely as the general window approaches, because a fee that high is a statement of intent, or perhaps a sign of desperation. So you have to think about it from that perspective. You have to ask yourself certain questions like that and all of that. So we will talk about that and all of that. The next one is basically with regards to Man United's interest in other players. So you have to think about for Kobe Mainoo. This is an outgoing now. Kobe Mainoo made it clear that he wants to leave Manchester United in January and has his heart set on a move to Real Madrid. This is according to Fichajes, or Fichajes. Fichajes always comes out and says one or two things, and I'm not really like keen on some of those things he said. But this is what he said, and we're going to just kind of touch on it a little bit before we move on to that. He says Kobe wants to sign for Real Madrid. The English midfielder wants to leave Man United because he's not getting consistent playing time under Rúben Amorim. Manchester United have made it intentions clear that he wants to. Kobe Mainoo of Manchester United have made intentions clear that he wants to join Real Madrid, and recent reports indicate that the 20-year-old is looking to leave United due to his lack of playing time. Kobe Mainoo has also seen his playing time reduced under Rúben Amorim, leading him to consider a change in scenery to revitalize his career in the context. Real Madrid appears to be the ideal destination for the midfield seeking a more prominent role in that Real Madrid midfield. I don't think so. I don't think that's why I said it's a wild take, and it's way over the mark. Do you know what is in that Real Madrid midfield? Tchouaméni and what's this other guy's name? In that Real Madrid midfield, are you seriously kidding me? Camavinga, Tchouaméni, even Valverde, who's playing in right back, is also there. Kobe is not there. That's why it's a wild take, man. And I also saw a situation where they talked about, him being the let's look at their squad. Him being the replacement for Toni Kroos. They've already replaced Toni Kroos. They don't need a midfielder. What they need is defenders, basically. You look at in their... Thibaut Courtois has gotten injured. You look at in their... They need defenders. Dani Carvajal is injured. Antonio Rudiger is injured. Valverde as well, injured, injury unknown. He plays DM, right back, center back. DM, right back, center midfield, attacking midfield, and right wing. That's the kind of player they have, and you want to go? Or are you talking about Eduardo Camavinga, who plays DMs, left back, central midfield, attacking midfield? Are you serious? Or Chouameni, basically, who's out on injury and coming back early December. He plays as a DM, centre back, and central midfield. They have Ceballos as well. They have Jude Bellingham. They have Adagule. Come on. Monstantuono as well. He's a winger, but yeah. Now, you have to think about this and you say Kobe wants to go to Real Madrid. He's had his mind set on Real Madrid. Are you seriously kidding me right now? Unless Real Madrid comes calling, I don't think that's a news that we can actually kind of. But the difficult situation with Kobe Mainoo is that Kobe Mainoo enjoyed the greatest prominence under Eric Ten Hag, but arrival of Amorim has changed his status at Manchester United. Mainoo has played just 138 minutes in 7 league matches this season. Seeing his development has stagnated. He faced with the situation, the academy graduate has decided that joining a club where he can grow is a priority. Now, Manchester United value him around 90 million euros. I saw that yesterday. I don't know. A figure that puts his importance to the club into perspective, but Mainoo has already made it clear that Real Madrid is his priority, and that's a lie. I don't believe that. In as much as I want to, I don't believe it. Real Madrid's interest and Kobe Mainoo's plan. Basically, Real Madrid are closely monitoring Kobe Mainoo's progress and see him as an ideal candidate to strengthen the midfield in the future. The club's sporting directors are analyzing his profile as a potential replacement for veteran players like Modric and Kroos. Modric and Kroos long left. Kroos left a whole season ago. Modric left just this season. Adagule has already completely replaced him, so I don't know what they are looking at. Mainoo possesses the characteristics the club seeks: young with potential and the physical and technical ability to take on responsibilities. Although Real Madrid has not yet made a definitive move, the players' representative consider him their preferred option. Kobe Mainoo, the players' representatives consider him their preferred option. Kobe Mainoo knows that adapting to the Bernabeu and would represent a significant step forward, not just a temporary loan. So yeah, I don't think that works. Now, they played out a scenario, the transfer scenario, that finally and final keys basically with this article. They said Kobe Mainoo faces a crucial crossroads. Make of it what you will. Manchester United will make things easy. His contract expires in 2027, and they aren't obligated to sell him in January, although the situation could change in the summer. Real Madrid must decide whether to make a decisive move to attract the midfielder they so desperately want. I don't think they do, but Mainoo for his part is ready to take the step. He's even open to a loan if he guarantees him playing time and development. This way, the club could get ahead of the game and secure a key player for the next cycle. Kobe Mainoo's future seems tied to Real Madrid, but everything will depend on negotiations, offers, and the project. In short, Kobe Mainoo has chosen his path. He wants to wear the Real Madrid jersey. It's funny, but it is what it is. He wants to wear the Real Madrid shirt. His decision could accelerate events and reshape the midfield market. Both he and the club must take the next steps with conviction and strategy to ensure that the signing becomes a transformative reality. That is just basically an opinion piece, and that's why it is a load of garbage considering how things have been. So that's on the side. We talked about the Florian Plettenberg one, where they said if Man United have now, compared to that, what we read earlier, Man United have formally registered this Florian Plettenberg on X. Understand that Man United remain keen on Elliot Anderson and have registered concrete interest. Forest are informed a fee in the region of 100 to 120 million is still being demanded. That's according to Florian Plettenberg. We're going to observe that, and then we'll let you know as things pan out. Now we'll move on to the next one, which we shall break down as the case may be. Quick second here. We have other news as well, but before that, let's talk about this one. Just give me 1 sec. Yeah, we'll have a little time. Let's talk about this one before we conclude. Now we're going to talk about the legacy debate. That's kind of like the last major thing on this live stream, but every other thing will follow eventually after that. But we're going to talk about legacy debate. Carragher's verdict on Guardiola versus Ferguson. Finally, you know, we hear Carragher speak after Liverpool lose to Man City in a woeful, disastrous manner, despite the fact that they keep complaining about everything. You know, one thing I like about, you know, football is he has a way of coming back to bite you. You know, remember when Virgil van Dijk had been basically escaping punishments when it comes to red cards, yellow cards and stuff? Okay, let's talk about this one. This is an elephant in the room, and I'll explain to you why I brought the Van Dijk situation, but an elephant in the room, and that's the legacy debate. It's an old argument. It has actually been reignited by Liverpool legend Jamie Carragher with some truly provocative comments. On a recent podcast, Carragher boldly stated that Pep Guardiola's achievement at Manchester City surpasses Sir Alex Ferguson's transformation of Manchester United. Now let that sink in. He says Pep Guardiola's achievements at Manchester City surpasses Sir Alex Ferguson's transformation at Manchester United. Okay, and I'll tell you why this is crazy. He pointed to City's current dominance, 6 Premier League titles in 8 years, and the 2023 Champions League. The argument is that what Guardiola has done in this era tops what Ferguson achieved. However, Carragher was also quick to put a ceiling on City's stature, making a point that United fans will hold on to dearly. He was emphatic: Man City will never be bigger than Manchester United. So that's a contradiction. Or is there a balance to it? He said, Pep Guardiola's achievements at Manchester City surpasses Sir Alex Ferguson's transformation of Manchester United. Then he comes on to say Manchester City will never be bigger than Manchester United. Yeah, make it make sense. Now, he said Liverpool versus Manchester City will never be bigger than Liverpool versus Manchester United. We all know that. Then he argued that the historic stature and the size of United and Liverpool are almost set in stone and will never change. Okay? The reaction, yes, you can imagine, is fiercely divided, right? Man United supporters are highlighting that Ferguson took a club from relative obscurity in the late 80s, facing off against incredible resources from Liverpool and others, and built a dynasty with a heavy reliance on a legendary youth system. They argue the context of Ferguson's rebuild and the longevity and the sheer number of trophies that makes it super untouchable when it comes to Pep Guardiola, or what Pep Guardiola has done with Manchester City. But City fans naturally are focused on the cold hard facts of recent success and their ongoing dominance in 25-26 season. They're only second, right? Now, the debate isn't just about trophies, it's about the very soul of a club. Is legacy measured on trophies alone, or does the manner of the victory, the resources available and the history forged over a century also matter? That's a question for Carragher. Carragher has thrown a massive stone into the pond, and the ripples will be felt for years. It's a reminder that while United may be struggling, their historical standing remains for many entirely inaccessible. Now you have to think about it from that perspective of the fact that he's just trying to steady pot. And the reason why I talked about it like that is because Liverpool lost to City. Now he's trying to make it look like, oh, Pep Guardiola had this wonderful dynasty and that cannot be usurped. But face the elephant in the room. The main elephant in the room. Not the baby elephant. The main elephant in the room. Liverpool lost. They've had a horrendous season so far. They've lost 5 times. We're going to check what was the status of Liverpool last season. I think they lost only 3 games last season to become champions, right? So Liverpool, so we'll go to Liverpool. We check their next game is against Nottingham Forest. Sean Dyche. Now, you look at their standings in the table. Or let's just go to the Premier League table. Let's go to the Premier League table. quickly, you look at the full table. Let's go full table. So we're going to the full table. This give me one quick here. Table. We go to. Should we go to? So Liverpool so far have lost 4 games in 5. 4 games in 5. 5 games in 11. Right. 5 games in 11, 5 games, 5 losses and 6 wins, 0 draws. And I think they are the only team in the Premier League without draws. The only team in the Premier League without draws. And then you look at it from that perspective, any team that's above them has either won less games and drawn more. Like Spurs, Villa and United have all drawn. They've won 5 games. Spurs, Villa, and United won 5 games, drawn 3, lost 3. Meanwhile, Sunderland next in 4th, 1 point above Man United, won 5, drawn 4, lost 2. Only 2. While Liverpool have already lost 5. And of the top 10 teams, Liverpool is the only team that has lost 5 games. Of the top 10 teams, Liverpool is the only team that has lost 5 games. So, if we're looking at that, let's take a quick peek at how many games they lost in the 24-25 season. In 24-25 season, all season, 25 wins, 9 draws, 4 losses. While Arsenal, 20 wins, 14 draws, 4 losses. Then, the season before, Liverpool, 24 wins, 10 draws, 4 losses. The season before. 22-23 season. 19 wins, 10 draws, 9 losses. So they are almost going close to that, their 22-23 season. Then we go, when they snuck into 5th, I remember that period. And then you go to 21-22, where they came 2nd. They only lost 2 games. And then 2021, they lost 9 games again. So they are going to their 22-23 season and their 2021 season. Make it make sense, right? So it is what it is. They are 4 games away from hitting their 22-23 season start. So we have to look at it from that perspective, and we have to try to understand why Carragher is making those statements. Instead of Carragher to focus on the issues, when Man United drew, he said, "Oh, this system doesn't look good on United." When you drew to Nottingham Forest, "Oh, this system doesn't look good on United." This, and that. Now Liverpool lost to Manchester City. Embarrassingly, he comes out and he says, "Oh, this what Pep Guardiola has done trumps what Sir Alex Ferguson ever did." Are you talking about someone who won 13 titles and came to Man United when United only had 7 titles, and you swapped Liverpool when Liverpool were the big spenders at the time? Are you also talking about a player in Carragher who has so many goals, and the total number of goals he scored are all own goals? Let's just have a quick look, because I think I took a screenshot of that stat somewhere where I said, you're talking about a player who has scored so many goals, but his so many goals are no, I think I have the image here. His so many goals are own goals, and I think his friends have bantered him as well, Gary Neville and co. It's just annoying to see that Gary Neville, I don't know, but Gary Neville was not in that conversation when he was making those wild statements, but see that Gary Neville cannot come out and kind of defend or say anything. Instead, he finds loopholes in Man United. Jamie Carragher has scored 11 goals in his career with Liverpool, and 7 of them are own goals. What a start. And he was captain of Liverpool after Steven Gerrard, a legend of the club. He always has wild takes and annoying takes and stuff, but it is what it is. He just contradicted himself by saying, "Oh, Manchester City can never be bigger than Man United." We know that. "Oh, the rivalry between Manchester City and Liverpool and versus Liverpool cannot be equated to the same rivalry as Manchester United versus Liverpool." Yeah, we also know that as well. So what's the stat they're trying to bring forward? But it is what it is. we're gonna move on from that, because Jamie Carragher always has really wild, annoying takes. But then we're going to speaking of Man United versus Liverpool, we're going to talk about two managers who have been compared this season. One won the league and is defending it, and we didn't hear the last of it when Liverpool won the league last season. Thankfully, I didn't get to watch a trophy parade or trophy celebration. But just to kind of cap this whole live stream up, we're going to talk about I'm going to talk about high-profile managers, and there's a fun in little statistics that has gone viral over the last couple of days. I think the last 2 days on social media, sparking the kind of fan rivalry that clashes that we live for. And those kinds of fan rivalry is what we always love to see or love to look out for. And it's a recent tally that reveals that Liverpool manager Arne Slot has incurred 16 losses across all competitions in 2025, and one more than Manchester United's Rúben Amorim, who has lost only 14 in the year 2025. You think about it from that perspective. Think about it from the perspective of, okay, what are we trying to achieve? You see Liverpool fans come out with their own type of narrative, and I'm coming for you guys. They come out with their own type of narrative stating that, for a team that is playing one game a week, 14 losses is easily achievable in 2025. But we're not playing one game a week. You remember, we're playing, for the most part, 2 games a week, if possible 3 games in 8 days. From the beginning of the year, when the Europa League, and went far into the Europa League final. Liverpool did not go far in the Champions League final, into the Champions League final today, right? But they won the league, right? Man United also played up until the last day of the league, but we went far in the Europa League final, and then still, Arne Slot has more losses than Rúben Amorim in 2025. Right now, context is everything. Slot's losses have seen Liverpool slump to 7th. Like, you think about it, his losses versus Amorim's, he has had 6 losses in 7. That means before that he had 10 losses. And Amorim had 11. Then Amorim added his 3 losses: Arsenal, Man City, and Brentford. The teams we lost to. God damn it. Arsenal. Anyway, it is what it is. And then it now takes you to Slot, who now lost 6 and 7. I mean, you think about it, 6 and 8 rather. I think he beat Real Madrid and beat Aston Villa. No, did he beat Aston Villa? One sec, just give me one hot second there. Let's go to who Liverpool lost to this season table. So Liverpool lost to, they beat Aston Villa, 2-0. They beat Aston Villa on the 1st of November, 2-0. But they lost to Man City, before that Brentford, before that Manchester United, and before that they lost to Chelsea, who Manchester United beat. So they lost to Brighton, we lost to Brighton. It is what it is. I mean, Brentford, they lost to Brentford, we lost to Brentford, but we haven't played Villa yet, which we'll play Villa pretty soon. But yeah, like I said, context is also key. Slot losses I've seen Liverpool slump to I think they're 8th now. I just looked at the table. They're 8th now. Yes, they're 8th after 11 games with 5 losses and 6 wins. And then obviously after 11 games, including a 3-0, they slumped to 8th after 11 games, going 3-0 defeat to Manchester City, despite having won their Premier League this season before. Meanwhile, Amorim is managing to rebuild. He's managing a rebuilding United side, also sitting 7th after 11 games. With a record of 21 wins in 49 matches. We're gonna fact check that, because it's very key for us to understand what is going on. Man United at 7th. Rúben Amorim so far as manager has played 60 matches. He's won 24, he's drawn 17, and he's lost 19, with a 40% win ratio in all competitions as regards to Manchester United. So yeah, make of it what you will. Then next one we have on our list in this situation, or just to kind of wrap it up, and all of that. While the viral statistic is a great source of fan banter, it highlights the pressure cooker environment for both managers. Both clubs are currently underperforming their historical expectations, that is like in the past. But for defending champions Liverpool, who has spent £500 million, they are super underperforming. They should be challenging Arsenal and Man City, but they lost to Man City and narrowly beat Arsenal via a free kick. So it is what it is. For United fans, it is a small, sweet victory to see their manager with fewer losses than the fiercest rivals' boss. But ultimately, both are tasked with reversing a slide that has left both clubs, in the middle of the table, especially for Man United. We're going to get up there. We're going to climb up there and stuff like that. But tonight, we've basically just covered a full spectrum of Manchester United's world, from a desperate 9-figure chase for a present day midfield anchor in Elliot Anderson to a £1 million legal nightmare with Axel Tuanzebe, and an unprecedented youth war for the next Toni Kroos. In Kennet Eichhorn, we've seen hope that is shining through the lone spells of Harry Amass, and we also debated the very legacy of club against backdrop of Manchester City's modern dynasty. So it's a club of contradictions, but also the club that is never boring. Man United will always give you that news. I think we need to talk about one player that Manchester United seems to be interested in. Man United, that should be João Gomez. I can't seem to find that news. I had it ready for us to dive in. Yep, for us to dive in. Just give me one quick second. I'm trying to find it now. Oh, okay. We talked about Jadon Sancho being of keen interest to Manchester, to Borussia Dortmund. We talked about many other things. We talked about let's quickly look at João Gomez. Just give me one quick sec. So, I think I saw this news somewhere. Just okay. Might have been interested in João Gomez. Okay, before we go to that, let's talk about this one. Let's talk about Manchester United players confronting Erik ten Hag after the Porto draw leading to his sacking. But that's basically just a report. This is from, I think it was from The Athletic. They said that following Man United's 3-3 draw at Porto last season, Erik ten Hag delivered a long, furious dressing room inquest about the discipline and the mentality of the players, which is supposed to be as regards to how the manager treats, he's supposed to talk to his players, give them a hair dryer and all of that. Then Bruno Fernandes and other senior players asked the coaches to leave the room as they could discuss among themselves, and during this time more than one took exceptions to the tone of Ten Hag's criticism. Now this is an excerpt, because it's an excerpt. You have to look at it from like what they're actually saying in like the full article and all that, and so I don't want to make conclusions or draw conclusions, but the tone of this, the way it has been framed or phrased, you could think that maybe Bruno Fernandes just asked Ten Hag to leave the room and stuff. I've seen a lot of connect creators say Bruno Fernandes asked Ten Hag to leave the room, but Bruno Fernandes did not really ask Ten Hag to leave the room. Bruno Fernandes could have said, okay, now that they finished talking, instead of everybody leaving, let us have a conversation. And I remember reports that came out that day or that period that the Man United players had a meeting and they talked about certain things. They talked about, like, they had a meeting and demanded, which would lead to the next line, which I want to talk about right now. They had a meeting and demanded that everybody basically performs. that's what they did. They had that meeting and demanded that everybody performs. And now, one of such players who had an exception to the tone of Ten Hag's criticism. So that's how you see it's a bit of a twist. One of such players was Diogo Dalot, who stood up and delivered an impressive speech using strong language, obviously cussing and stuff, suggesting to his teammates that they would have to summon performances regardless of how some of them might feel about Ten Hag. So it's confusing. Bruno Fernandes and other senior players, could be Bruno Fernandes, Harry Maguire, Casemiro, other female players, ask the coaches to leave. Ask the coaches to leave means, okay, you could say, okay, you guys, okay, we've heard what you have to say. As you're about to go, it's okay, we want to talk to ourselves as players. It could be that, and then obviously it will be misconstrued as him telling them to leave. We want to talk, we don't want you to be involved and stuff. We just want to talk to ourselves. They are allowed to do that. The manager must not necessarily be there, but obviously, you know, the way the media carries stuff. And then obviously they are also trying to stir the pot as well, of these players. Man United have come to some good form, but like my good friend will always say, you know, they're trying to stir the pot and you know, mess things up and stuff. They wanted to discuss them amongst themselves. Players should be able to do that. I'm sure the players of this current squad also do the same. They want to have conversations with themselves, you know. And then he said, oh, more than one took exception to the tone of Ten Hag's criticism. Okay, one of such players who took exception to the tone of Ten Hag's criticism. So it's a mix. Listen to this. So more than one player took exception to the tone of Ten Hag's criticism. Now, one of such player was Diogo Dalot, who took exception to Ten Hag's criticism is Diogo Dalot, who stood up and delivered an impassioned speech using strong language, suggesting to his teammates that they would have to summon performances regardless of how some of them might feel about. So, regardless of how some of them might feel about Ten Hag's tone or feel about Ten Hag, they have to summon performances. And then you say he took exception to the Ten Hag. Yeah, it's wild. It's really, really wild. It's really, really wild. But it is what it is. They're just using it it's United District. They're just using it to put out things. But let's move on from that, because there's no need to kind of dwell on hearsay and stuff and all of that. Yeah, so there's João Gomez of Wolves and Man United's interests. About 20 hours ago, this is basically from the updates. Man United are targeting January loan move for Atletico Madrid's Conor Gallagher to strengthen the midfield depth under Rúben Amorim. Amid the team's mid-table position in the Premier League, the 25-year-old Man United are not mid-table, they're 7th, joined 5th. Closer to mid-table, no doubt, but yeah, joined 5th. But the 25-year-old has made limited starts in Spain. That's Conor Gallagher, made limited starts in Spain, and could provide energy alongside Bruno Fernandes and Casemiro. Meanwhile, 20-year-old academy product Kobbie Mainoo is pushing for his temporary move to clubs like Napoli to gain more playing time after reduced opportunities this season. If he goes to Napoli, probably play in place of what's his name? Kevin De Bruyne, who is basically injured right now. So I wanted to give you the João Gomez news before we go on. So according to Chris Wheeler, Man United are interested in Carlos Baleba, Elliot Anderson, Adam Wharton, and monitoring Wolves' midfielder João Gomez. And here's my take on this João Gomez situation, because I think the guy is 24, Premier League proven, Brazil international, proper box-to-box player. He's similar to Elliot Anderson. And somebody saying that Wolves' current situation means he's gettable in January. And just to think about it from that perspective and all of that, I think Ineos Era on X is saying João Gomes is CM, who often plays as a DM. Brazilian is a dynamic, energetic player, strong tackler, good passer, and high work rate. He's well-rounded central midfielder who excels in both defensive and attacking aspects of the game. These words sound very familiar to Manuel Ugarte, to what people said about Manuel Ugarte. So yeah, he seems to be a new target for Manchester United. A lot of people are reporting on it, and we're hearing stuff like £30 million. That is what even like United People's TV, that's the People's Person, United People's TV is talking about. But let's dive deep into this whole João Gomes news. Brazilian. So if we're going to go to that, we'll talk about let's look for a reputable report with regards to that before we wrap it up. Capitalize on PL club's potential. Yeah, so this is Yahoo Sports reporting through United in Focus, and they are saying Man United ready to capitalize on PL clubs, that's Premier League clubs, potential relegation by signing coveted midfielder in cut price move. Chris Wheeler is saying United confidential, midfield transfer target revealed. He's also saying Sesko peace deal, Dogu teams up with Kone, German rising star on Red's radar, new Old Trafford to host 2035 final. Why keeper could be on way back with Nathan Salt, and via the mail. Nathan Salt is a good person. I think I follow him a lot on stuff. So the mail plus, it says Man United confidential, blah blah blah. Man United confidential, the surprise name added to Rúben Amorim's list of midfield targets. Red Devils joint fight to sign the next Toni Kroos, which academy stars are heading out on loan in January. Obviously Sekou Kone should be one of the players who should be heading out on loan in January. But Manchester United are facing a battle with Liverpool and Chelsea to sign a world-class midfielder. United have promised buying a new number 6, but all three of their Premier League rivals will also be shopping in the same marketplace with more money to spend. That's pretty much everything. Wow, that's just basically what he said. Okay, so Chris Wheeler said that. Now, indeed, the Red Devils ongoing quest to sign young but proven midfielder has seen them land on Gomez, according to Mail Sport. Now, João Gomes could depart struggling Wolves if they are relegated. And after reading this, I'll explain to you, before we kind of wrap it up, I'll explain to you why I think this Gomez deal would be a very good deal, as opposed to Elliot Anderson, Adam Wharton, Carlos Baleba. These are really big names, and I thought they would have just silently gone for this guy and just moved on. João Gomes could depart struggling Wolves if they are relegated. 24-year-old star who signed for Wolves from Flamengo for £50 million in January 2023, committed his long-term future to the Molineux outfit by signing a 5-year deal in April this year. It came as the Black Country outfit escaped relegation once again, despite a torrid start to the term, eventually finishing 17 points above the drop in 16th place. Now, however, Wolves look almost nailed on to lose their Premier League status by end of the campaign. In the opening 11 matches, they have yet to claim a single win and currently sit on just 2 points after drawing twice and losing 9 matches. So that is it. Yeah. So I brought this news to you because I feel like there's no credible report out there, but there's new rumors, especially according to Chris Wheeler, that Man United are interested in João Gomes. Now, the reason why I said this should be a good deal for Man United is the fact that Man United could go to Wolves. Wolves play a similar system, have been playing a similar system under Vitor Pereira, albeit they've been failing at it really woefully. They've lost their last 5 games, and the next game they face Crystal Palace, they will definitely lose that one because they also have a new manager. Now that formation is a 3-5-2 or 3-4-3 or 5-3-2, depending on how you see it. Now they have a couple of Gomez's on their team. They have Andre, I think that's Andre Gomez, but he's Andre Brazilian, and they have João Gomez, who is an attacking midfielder, box-to-box player, and then they have another Gomez in Toti Gomez. Now, basically, players that I think that Man United can go for in this team that would actually help us at least elevate our challenges in the midfield are these 2 Brazilians. The one, João Gomez, 24 years old, born 2001. He plays as a defensive midfielder, central midfielder, and an attacking midfielder for Wolves this season. Has had only one good game, and that is against Sunderland, but can improve. He's 24. And Andre. Now, this Andre, another Brazilian international or Brazilian international, 24 years old as well. He plays as a defensive midfielder primarily and a central midfielder. So he'll be a good person to actually learn under what's his name? Casemiro. Because you look at it from that perspective, and you see that he can actually do a good job, just being a member of this Man United team. You look at other players that can, Totti is a centre back, other players that can actually do this job. Like I said, João Gomez, center midfielder, defensive midfielder, and attacking midfielder. And you also have the Andre. Andre is also a central midfielder and a defensive midfielder, can play that position as well. And then I think there's 3 Gomez's in this team. Yeah, there's the Rodrigo Gomez, who is a left wing back, left back, and right back. So these players, like, they're actually South Americans. You can actually go, Man United can actually go in general for one of them. Maybe I go for Andre. The one that's least expected. He's a defensive midfielder, can do a job, can give us the numbers we need in midfield, and they can also play as central midfielder. Instead of going for like the big names, you spend 30, 40 million, 20 million, 30 million on these kinds of players. And once you just go in for them, they'll want to come to Man United. Trust me, they'll want to come to Man United, especially Brazilians. Excuse me, they've grown up watching Man United, as you can see. And with the influence of Casemiro, Cunha, you have Casemiro, you have Cunha, you have even Bruno speaks Portuguese, Diogo Dalot, and all. They're going to have that connection, and it's going to really work out, especially with their pace. And I've watched these 2 players, Andre and João Gomez, work in this team. They've really done some amazing things when it comes to how they play and stuff. They are very pacey, very aggressive and stuff. These are players that Man United can actually go for without actually flinching, and we'll get good money for them and all of that. So yeah, let me know some feelings in the comment section. I mean, we could talk on and on about these players, but that's the reason why I said we should just go to Wolves, get these 2 players, because they've been playing this formation for a while. Gomez can play as a double pivot 6 and can also play as a defensive midfielder, double pivot 6 central midfielder in one of the 4 midfielders in Manchester United. I can also play as a defensive midfielder. I mean, if we get him, if Bumo goes to the AFCON, we have a proper replacement. Bruno just goes up top to one of the 10s, and then Gomez just slots straight in. He has Premier League experience, understands the speed. He's been here since 2023, and he can just slot straight into the midfield and do stuff. And obviously, you could tell what that means for Kobbie Mainoo. But yeah, it is what it is. There's a whole lot of rumors going up and down and all of that. But let me know your thoughts and feelings in the comment section. I mean, we could just talk on and on and build on all of that. But let me know your thoughts and feelings in the comment section as we have conversations deep into, talking about Man United signings and all of that. In all of this, basically, we've talked about many things. But what do you think? Anderson for 120 million, isn't it too much? I mean, if we split that 120 million into four, we can get 30 million for a player, for 4 players, 30 million each, right? And still have, if you want to even sign 3 players, we sign 3 players, 1 attacker, 2 defensive midfielders or 2 central midfielders, and still have some change. And we no need to go for Adam Watson and co. Maybe we'll go for them like next summer when they feel like they need to come to Man United. Man United have gotten European places or European competitions. Yeah, but the debate is, and then obviously, what do you think about the debate between Ferguson's United rebuild and Guardiola's City dominance? We could go on and on. I could analyze it more and more, but we're going to spend a lot of time talking. Now, whose legacy is truly greater? For me, I believe that because I watched Sir Alex Ferguson build multiple teams for multiple era, even challenged during Mourinho's era, challenged during Arsene Wenger's era, challenged Chelsea when Chelsea were big spenders, are still big spenders up to now, but when Chelsea were just coming into the market like Matchday when they first came, and challenged even Man City when they were still big spenders, and still won the league when they were there. So coming on to come and tell me, oh, Pep Guardiola built a team, what he's doing is better than what Sir Alex Ferguson ever did, he trumps it, that's a lie. And that's obviously Jamie Carragher's wild take, and you can only take it with a pinch of salt in it. So let me know your thoughts in the comment section. I can only tell you what I think, and your opinions are also expected, and all of that. But obviously Manchester United have a financial constraint on trying to spend 120 million on Elliot Anderson, so I don't think that's going to be possible. But yeah, like I said, let me know your thoughts and feelings in the comment section. Thank you so much for watching. Thanks so much for liking, sharing, and subscribing. If you haven't already, please do like, share, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you don't have to miss anything as relates to Manchester United. I'll see you on the next one. Take care, goodbye, and God bless.